Inside Out is back with its second part, Inside Out 2. I very recently watched the first one, so I'm really excited to actually have witnessed one of these films in the cinema. Let's talk about it. Hi, my name's Drew and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. Yes, just not too long ago actually I did, by now it's actually a few months ago, but still, I did a review this year of the first Inside Out film. It was the first time I watched it. I didn't catch it back then, but over the years I heard so much buzz about it that I checked it out when it was on Disney+, and I needed a film to watch together with my young daughter. Turns out it wasn't exactly the kids film. That actually applies to this as well. I'll talk about it later. But if you're looking for a film that's sort of at least very enjoyable for kids but also for adults, then it's really hard to find something that's better than Inside Out. So yes, I was very excited to watch this. I even mentioned that I'd do probably do this and go to the cinema and watch it and do a review on it. By the way, if you are interested in my review of the first Inside Out, I'll leave a link to that video at the end of this one. Yeah, so in case you're not familiar with it, just as a very brief explanation, what happened in the first one, we are focused on a little girl. Her name is Riley. She's around 10 years old, and we meet her in a very tumultuous phase in her life because she is moving away with her parents quite far, you know, not just a sort of down the road type of thing. It's like from one state to another, so she's completely changing her social life, her school, her surroundings, everything. And we, witness all the turmoil that comes with that, especially emotionally, because Inside Out, we get to look inside the brain, let's call it, and see how things work, how emotions work in particular, how they interact with each other, how they shape our everyday life. So we've got these 5 emotions, and they also appear here. You've got joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust, right? That was the first part, and we saw her dealing with this situation and how these emotions, influenced her life and tried to get her on the right track during this difficult phase. This is the second part. We're still with Riley, so we're still with the same character. This is roughly 2 years on from the first film. So the move is completed. She is now settled. She feels fine where she is. The problem now seeming to be that they're going to move on to high school, right? And this is where we meet her. She is in the ice hockey team, which was also a topic in the very first one. And the thing here being that a lot of situations come up. The main plot line that drives the story is there's this camp, this hockey camp taking place over a weekend. Riley goes there with her 2 best friends, thinking that they're all going to smash it and get into this really, really popular team that will obviously boost their ice hockey dreams and career thoughts, all these kind of things. Problem being, at least emotionally, that on the way there she learns that her 2 friends are actually going to be moving to a different school than her, which causes tension, of course, as you can imagine. So that emotionally is giving her a really hard time. As far as the inside part is concerned, what happens here at this weekend is, we see it very literally in the film, the puberty alarm goes off, so her body is suddenly undergoing puberty, which obviously is a big change in everyone's life. What comes with that, we've got new emotions. So besides the 5 that I already mentioned, we've got 4 new emotions. We've got anxiety, very relatable. Anyone who's ever been a teenager knows exactly what's going on there. Envy, embarrassment, yeah. It's really interesting, isn't it, how you don't really feel too much embarrassment until you become a teenager. Before then, yes, you've got these few moments where it's like, where in particular you're embarrassed about maybe parents doing something or so, but as a teenager, that's when it really kicks off, isn't it? And the last one, the last of these 4 new emotions is ennui, which is sort of like, you could call it kind of boredom, I suppose. Yeah, so we've got these 4 new emotions, so the brain room, I'll call it, is a lot more crowded this time around. And I don't want to give too much away of the plot. I do have to talk about some of the things, especially a small criticism I have of the film. I mean, that's actually not a small criticism, but it's the main one I have. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so we've got these new emotions. It's not actually, just to sort of head that off, my criticism is not that there are too many emotions. It absolutely makes sense, story-wise, plot-wise, you know, emotionally, just thinking about how we get more and more complex as we get older. The additional emotions make absolute sense. They all, I feel, get, you know, appropriate screen time, so it doesn't feel like any. Obviously, we can't focus as much on the 5 as we want to or did in the first part. It's just not possible. I feel everyone gets a decent amount of screen time, including Riley herself. I felt that the first film wasn't too much focused on her story, you know, it was more about what's happening inside. This time it feels like we're dealing a lot more with Riley. So considering the short runtime of, I think, 96 or 97 minutes, it is actually really incredible how much we get to see and know all of these different people and emotions at their stage of their current life. So that's really good. But we have a situation, I'm not going to say exactly what happens, we've got a situation where our original 5 emotions end up being outside of the brain room, and they're travelling through, yeah, let's just call it the brain. I forget what they call it in the film itself, but I'll just call it the brain. You know, it's like a vast landscape with all sorts of things happening with memory and memory banks and personality being formed and all these kind of things. But our 5 main emotions, where if you remember, if you've seen the first part, it was just joy and sadness who were on a journey basically. Here it's all 5 of them. And so in the brain room we're left with the 4 new emotions, and anxiety in particular is just driving the whole plethora of Riley's actions, which is really fun, I will say that. But just to finish off the plot, so we've got those 5 out there, they're looking for something in particular. And we've got the 4 in the brain room trying to get Riley through this weekend, dealing with the situation with her, you know, her best friends, not, at least in that moment, not seeming to be the best friends, and what's she going to do in terms of high school, you know, her further path, because she was expecting her friends to be there for it, and how's she going to deal with all that. That is the main plot of the film. Like I said, I want to avoid spoilers because it is fun watching how it all develops. Now, just like with the first one, I love that we get to explore how the brain functions and this interpretation of how that exactly is done. I really still love it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, even if it's scientifically maybe not proven to be correct, I don't know, it makes you think about it, and that's what I find fascinating. Because yeah, we are really complex beings, aren't we? It's ridiculous actually how complex we are compared to, let's say, humans from 10,000 years ago, because all the stuff that goes on, and obviously they felt anger, etc. as well, but you know, the way our social life is nowadays, it obviously causes a lot more emotions, a lot more frequently and a lot more chaotically. And I love the interactions. It's obviously difficult to be as inventive as the first one, because obviously we've seen a lot of that. I feel there's still a lot of great invention here and creativeness, especially with these new emotions coming in. I really enjoy all that part. It really makes, like I say, think about yourself. What I don't like is that they felt it necessary to repeat the journey aspect of it. In the first part, it made sense because we got to learn so much about Pixar's interpretation of the brain. But here we've got a journey again through it, although we're not really learning anything new, so it makes you wonder, why is it happening? I mean, there's a very specific plot reason. I'm not mentioning it because it would spoil it a bit. But for me, that's not enough. It's like, oh, this is what the first film was about, we need it in the second film as well. I would have enjoyed a lot more to have all of the emotions together at all times in the brain room, and then figuring out the whole stuff together instead of having 2 separate groups, you know, because I would have liked to have seen more of the interactions between the emotions. I think that would have been a lot more fun. So yeah, they felt it necessary to include this journey. That is one of the main criticisms I have. I didn't really feel it this time around. It didn't feel necessary. It kind of took away from what I feel could have elevated this film even more, which is the complexity of the emotions. Quite possibly they felt it was necessary to keep it a kids' film, because after all, this is for all ages, and this is the part. I mean, my daughter was with us in the cinema. It wasn't a laugh out loud film for her, because I mean, obviously, why would it be? It's all about puberty, right? I mean, yeah, that was obvious to me, but I mean, she enjoyed herself. It's just like, obviously she had no clue what's going on. Not having gone through puberty herself, she could not relate very well. it was still fun enough, and there are a lot of very, very funny jokes in here. I just want to mention one character, a new character. His name is Lance/Blade. He's a sort of PlayStation 2, PSP era Final Fantasy character. That's basically how you can summarize him. And he, for me, was the funniest bit of the film, also because I can relate as a Final Fantasy fan and PlayStation fan and all that. It was really fun to see that character on screen. To me, he was the funniest out of it all. Does not mean that the rest of the film was boring, far from it. He was just the standout thing of the film. Everything else comes together so nicely though. I still love the art style that they have for these characters, the emotions in particular. I just love the fuzziness of their skin and the hair. It's just got this interesting, well, not just this colour and brightness, but just the tones that they chose. I really love the design of the characters. So I'm not sure if they're going to continue going, because it's obviously going to be difficult. Now we've done puberty, what are we going to do? Are we going to go into grown-up territory? It's going to make the relatability even more difficult for the kids, so I'm not sure if they're going to do that. But obviously it'd be fun for us adults, because again, it makes me think a lot about my own emotions and how I deal with them and how they're interconnected, and I really, really love that. This is, to me, is a great example of a kids' film. It is so entertaining, or in this case, even more entertaining, I feel, for adults than it is for kids, but you can still watch it with them because they'll have a good time. It's just that, if you're looking for a film for your kid to be laugh out loud, and chuckling away the whole time, you'll probably be better off with Despicable Me 4, which is coming soon anyway, just to give you a comparison there. I would assume, without having seen it, it's probably funnier for the kids. But like I say, this is one for the whole family. It's already being very successful, which I'm very happy about. I like Pixar, I like the films they put out. It's not just simple slosh, I'll call it, not just silly popcorn entertainment. They want to make you think, and I love that. This film does it. Very high recommendation from me. Not as good as the first one, because it's difficult to, really top that, in my opinion, because that was just so mind-blowing. But still, go and watch it. It's a really good film. You'll enjoy it. That will be all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below about what you thought about this film, comparisons to the first one, of course. Any other animated things you want to talk about, Pixar, etc. Any and all of that, put it down in the comments below. I'll thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one on Flying Wiener. Take care. Bye.